You got to pay 250 grand, man.
For what?
For AJ's fight.
You're an idiot.
And AJ walked away with 3 million.
You're an idiot.
Who's the idiot?
You're an idiot.
Who's the idiot?
You're an idiot. I got
Who's the
250
donkey?
grand.
Who's the donkey?
You look
Who
like
is
it now.
the donkey
You
now?
look like one now.
Who is the donkey
you look like
now?
One now? Trust me, I got
You're
more than that.
a goat.
I got more than
so
that.
So you want me to put it on you? I'll put it on you, pussy. I'll put it on you, pussy. I'll put it on you, pussy. Easy. I'll put it on you.
April 11th, 1988. Port Antonio, Jamaica. A young woman gives birth to a boy. She names him Dillian. 5 months into Dillian's life, this young woman moves her family to England. She moves in a section of England, in South England, called Brixton. During the early stages of young Dillian's life in Brixton, the young Dillian White would get into a lot of trouble. At school, the young schoolboys would pick on him. They would make fun of his accent. Dillian White didn't like what they would say about his accent. He would fight them off. He would get in many fights throughout his childhood. In the streets of Brixton, he would get into several fights. His mom pleaded with Dillian, "Please, young Dillian, don't get in trouble. Do you want to go to prison?" Dillian didn't like seeing his mom suffer. So one day, Dillian walked into a gym in Brixton. It was a kickboxing gym. He was introduced to combat sport. He spent months and months learning kickboxing, learning how to strike, learning how to use his feet. He started going into amateur competitions. His trainer said, "Maybe you could go pro." But Dillian White then quickly found out that he wasn't meant for kickboxing when he lost to a guy with 10 losses and got schooled. His trainer gave up on him. But the young Dillian White did not give up on himself. Dillian White continued to go to his kickboxing gym and train. A young trainer saw Dillian White and said, "Mate, you should try boxing." So the young Dillian White turned his life around at that very moment and started the trade of learning boxing. He went into the amateurs. He beat some nobodies. He beat a guy named Anthony Joshua. Then he turned pro. The young Dillian White was looking pretty good as a pro. He was knocking out tomato can after tomato can. During 2011, Dillian White had an insecurity issue. At the age of 22, he did not like his physique. He did not like how he looked physically. So he looked online. How do I get in better shape? How do I get a six-pack abs? And he saw that they were selling something, a sports energy drink. And they were selling it in his local pharmacy in Brixton. So the young 22-year-old Dillian White went to Brixton and went to that pharmacy. And he bought the shakes. This is a picture of Dillian Whyte right before he entered the pharmacy where he bought the shake. The young Dillian Whyte didn't know that this was a banned substance. He takes the shake and is banned from boxing after being tested positive. Dillian Whyte goes on to not fight for 2 years. During this 2 years, he's gained a lot of weight. His body looks worse than it did before he was suspended. But he comes back, and he comes back with a vengeance. The young Dillian Whyte is determined. He's from Brixton. He is strong. He's mentally a strong guy. He starts coming back fighting bum after bum. During this time, a young heavyweight by the name of Anthony Joshua is on the rise. He starts making a lot of noise. Dillian Whyte remembers that he defeated Anthony Joshua in the amateurs when Anthony Joshua had no amateur experience. So he thinks he could defeat Anthony Joshua. He starts running his mouth. I'll fight you in the streets, boy. I'll fight you in the streets, mate. He confronts Anthony Joshua. The fight gets made. Dillian Whyte goes in there and gets destroyed by Anthony Joshua. Loses every single round and gets knocked out. The dream from Brixton was over. But there was still life. There was still life in Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte climbed back from adversity and came back fighting a couple of bums. He then versus a guy by the name of Derek Chisora. It was the battle of the domesticated British fighters, or fighters who come from other countries and now live in Britain. He goes life and death with Derek Chisora. Loses half of the fight. After the fight, there's controversy. Many people believe that Del Boy actually, in fact, won the fight. But they gave it to Dillian Whyte. They gave it to Dillian Whyte because he was the younger guy. And they wanted to make Anthony Joshua look good. And they knew if Dillian Whyte were to lose to Derek Chisora, it will make Anthony Joshua look bad. Later, we find out that Derek Chisora, Del Boy, wasn't even that good to begin with because he gets exposed by a guy named Ajit Caballero. During the year of 2017, the 29-year-old Dillian Whyte fights a guy that no one ever heard of, Malcolm Tan. He beats him. Then he calls out the reigning WBC champion of the world, Deontay Wilder. He starts calling him a crackhead. He says he's a coward. He calls him a cherry picker. He says, I'm the baddest man on the planet. I'm the Jaws. I'm the Shark. I am from Brixton. I am Dillian Whyte. He then fights Robert Helenius and looks horrible in the fight. But he's done it. He's now the #1 WBC mandatory. February 2018. Dillian Whyte gets in the ring with the WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Leading up to the fight, he's confident. He's yelling at Deontay Wilder. His fans are saying that he will dethrone Deontay Wilder. Every channel in the YTBC that is from the UK is praising Dillian Whyte, saying that he will dethrone the WBC champion. Dillian Whyte gets knocked out in round 3. The dream is crushed once again. Dillian Whyte spirals into a dark depression. He doesn't fight for 6 months. He gains 25 pounds. He comes back in October of 2018 and fights a tune-up against a bum. He feels good about himself again. He starts calling out everyone again. December 2018, he challenges the big baby, the guy from Brooklyn, who goes by the name of Jarrell Miller. he sustains the worst beating of his life. Dillian Whyte loses via referee stoppage, round 11. After his third consecutive defeat, Dillian Whyte once again spirals into a dark depression. Leaves boxing for a year. April 2020. After 13 months of inactivity, at the age of 32, Dillian Whyte returns, once again proclaiming that he will be a champion one day. Once again, he fights a tune-up fight against a no one and he beats him. Then he challenges a young heavyweight, a young 23-year-old heavyweight by the name of Daniel Dubois. He gets KO'd in the first 30 seconds. It's over. 30 seconds into the fight, Daniel Dubois knocks out Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte is officially a gatekeeper. Now with 4 losses, and now at the age of 32, it seems like there's no more hope of him ever becoming a heavyweight champion. Dillian Whyte spends the next 5 years fighting tomato cans, earning 20,000 quid versing tomato cans. October 28th, 2025. Dillian Whyte has his final fight at the age of 37 against a guy with 34 losses. He retires. Dillian Whyte becomes a motivational speaker. He becomes a hero to the Brixton people, the Brixton community. Despite the fact that he never became a champion, the people in Brixton love Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte spends the rest of his life being a preacher. He turned his life to God. Dillian Whyte is the body snatcher. A legend amongst legends. A guy who could never be a champion because he didn't have the skills to be a champion. But he will always be a hero to the people of Brixton. Always. To this day, many people in the YouTube boxing community leave comments saying that Dillian Whyte could have been a champion had he been disciplined. Only one man foresaw this. One man in the YTBC foresaw this. He foreseen it. A guy by the name of Rex by McGregor.